everybody. This is Sylvan LaCue. He is joining us for the inaugural People Eye Games interview series, A Portrait of. Sylvan, welcome to the show.
Bless, bless, bless. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming on. And you have a new project out today, Young Sylvan Part 1. So congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much, man.
Yo, it's solid, super solid
Very
music.
strong.
Hey, man,
Yeah.
that's cool.
On part one, Clam Chowder was the one for me.
Absolutely.
The beat just went.
I mean, I like Young Sylvan because I was like, it had that aggression to it, and but nice guys lay low, because that's how it's got to be. So, funny enough, now it's been 2 years since your last release. You had done Apologies in Advance in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, and since then you've obviously evolved and grown as an artist with what your new project's showing. What sort of influences help? Or did you take in during that time period to help you grow either musically, lyrically, sonically, whatever the case may be?
Man, it's the funny thing is, man, I think it's actually been like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think, man, number one, being in LA for sure. Like I moved to LA in 2017. And Apologies in Advance, I was actually working on maybe like in Oakland / maybe a little bit in Miami, but moving to LA was definitely one of the major benefactors of a lot of the music that I recorded for Young Sylvan. And then number two, I would say just kind of going through the fire. Like Apologies was like I make music very much based off of like trial and experience. So Apology, all my bodies of music kind of come from a space of what I'm going through at the time and trying to find solace and therapy through it. And so Apologies was very much like identifying that I need some type of intervention. Like I need to identify problems that I have and try to face them as clearly as possible. But with Young Sylvan, it was about emotion. And I think that's like the perfect follow-up, which is like, yeah, you can identify what you're going through, but then at the end of the day, you have to go through it. You got to go through the fire. And that's what like Young Sylvan is really all about. It's really like taking all of that childhood trauma, pent-up aggression, anger, resentment.
I was just going to use that word where I was going to say, when in Apologies in Advance, as you were saying, dealing with those emotions, and I read a lot of your prior interviews, like dealing with those things in an honest way. As you said, you were building up to it. Then following the release of it, now that you've dealt with it, right? What's the next step, right? It's sort of like, now that you have this sort of maybe pent-up aggression, how did that evolve into the music? Is it going through the fire, hardens the shell a little bit, and so now that you've dealt with those emotions, you can keep them in place and you can sort of move more into an aggressive version of rap? Or how does that come about?
I think it's more purging. Like I
describe it.
Yeah, I go through like my phases. I'm human, so I'm never gonna feel one way forever. I just always need a reason to do what I do. Like I'm a reason-based artist. Like I'm never gonna do anything without a reason. And so like I wasn't angry for a long time, and then all of a sudden, or I'm not gonna say I wasn't angry. I didn't identify with the emotion of anger or resentment or frustration or aggression for a while. And then over the past 3 years, all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, here it is. So
yeah,
it was kind of like I'd honestly say it's probably the easiest body of music I've made. So I didn't really go in saying, oh, this is what I'm gonna make. I really just was making music. I was just making like 2-3 records a day. And then Crenshaw and we woke up one day like 2 or 3 weeks into it and we're like, yo, I think this thing is done. And that's what it was. It was literally like just a full body of music. And as
you record the song sort of like that, where you're like, hey, I'm having the emotion, I'm gonna go lay it on the track, right?
Yeah.
How do you then compile, say, you'll have 50 different emotions over the time and you'll record 50 different types of songs. How do you synthesize it into a singular body of work with a narrative or theme?
I'm very story driven. So I think it's just about trying to align sequence of events that have happened in my life with the emotions that I've displayed on records. And also trying to figure out what I want to get across, how I want the listener to feel, paying attention to how I'm feeling when I'm listening to the music. I think, and then also getting opinions from the people that I trust. So my objective was to go in here and say, all right, we're going to make music and we're going to see what happens. Very open and free, as opposed to like a lot of my past projects, especially Apologies. It was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to detail everything. I wanted to leave space for things to happen. So it was like, do first, think later, as opposed to my last project. It was like, think first, do later.
You set it up as sort of like an open world game, which is going to bring us into the gaming sphere. So what games have you been playing lately? Are you playing anything right now, or, you know, with all the music coming out as well?
I'm actually trying to catch up. I know I'm very late, but I'm trying to catch up on God of War 4. I'm trying.
Man,
that's what I've been trying to get Demo to do.
He's been trying to. So I played a little bit on PS4. I got PS5 recently, and honestly, like the storage on it is just so shitty that like I'm like, oh man, the new Call of Duty update's gonna fuck up my ability to keep God of War on here, you know, like because that new season drops next week, and I'm like, am I gonna have to delete God of War? So I've been meaning to play. I want to catch up with that too, but it's an awesome game.
Yeah, man, I think the God of War series in general is incredible. I'm a very big story person, so it just catches me right in. But I will say I've been struggling a little bit, just in terms of like gameplay. I haven't been as used to. This is a completely different approach from 1, 2, and 3. So I've been struggling a little bit with like following through. But, so I'm on God of War 4, and I've been lagging on just beating Kingdom Hearts 3 entirely. I've been lagging on it.
That's both of them. They could talk to you about. I got nothing to say about that game.
I've been lagging. Like I haven't been as inspired, and I don't know if it's me or if it's the game or if it's.
It might be the game.
It might be the game. You know what I mean? You know.
You can let it rest sometimes and be like, maybe something else is on the shelf.
I was trying, man, because it meant so much to me. And I followed. I didn't really follow too many of the part series. Like, I mean, I think I did Birth by Sleep and Chain of Memories.
But 2 is probably the one that grows in the. So actually, Reggie's got a great question for you on the Kingdom Hearts one. So I'm gonna let him.
Yeah. So one of my favorite references, because no one ever talks about it, is you brought up Kingdom Hearts and Jeezy in the same breath on Grateful in Apologies in Advance. Aside from that, there was like a 1-second audio clip I've heard of any kind of like sample or reference toward Kingdom Hearts. So like, I was just wondering how you coming up being into that kind of media, like, was that weird for you? Were you a loser like I was in high school? Like, to me, when I talked about anime, I had like 3 friends that were on it, and then everybody else was like, shut that shit down.
Yeah.
But like so many of your peers, especially coming out of Florida, they're all referencing anime, video games all the time. Yeah. So I was wondering like what your experience was like that coming up.
Man, anime for us period was big, like from the very beginning. And I attribute a lot of that, I think, to Dragon Ball Z, just because of how popular Toonami was at the time. And so like, of course, if you were into like Cowboy Bebop, or if you're watching Inuyasha, or, you know, like any of like the real shit, you know what I mean? Like you
deep cuts.
Yeah, at the time, I would say, like at the time, because, you know, not saying DBZ isn't real. It's like, you know, it's DBZ, but
yeah, but we're talking about anime. We're like, you're gonna watch Yu Yu Hakusho or you're not.
That part, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like if you were into it, you know, you didn't get clowned, but it was just kind of like, cool, word. Like you knew about it, but you weren't too pressed about it. It wasn't as prominent as it is now. But Kingdom Hearts, though, it depends, because at the time, Final Fantasy was rocking. So it was kind of like I think if you gamed really hard, you might have gotten clowned a little bit, just because I remember too, Kingdom Hearts was like heavily Disney Channel pushed.
Yep.
Exactly, especially because that was the Final Fantasy X time, and everyone's like, "Yo, Final Fantasy X so cool," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, I know Mickey's in the game, but like, just go play some of the gameplay, man." And I don't like turn-based combat, so I wasn't trying to do that boring sort of like, let's just sit here. And I'm like, wait, it's free-flowing slashing combat. That makes it like a bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think Final Fantasy got better because of that now, because they've adopted some of that.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Final Fantasy guy.
Me either.
You know, I mean, I was just kind of like, oh, all right, this is. I'm not into this gameplay at all. But I will say, like, I kind of fell into Kingdom Hearts on accident. Like, my little brother had it, and I was over at his spot, and he was playing it, and I was just kind of ignoring it for a little bit. And he was so frustrated. He was like, "Yo, can you really help me? You know, on some Big Brother stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, all right, let's figure it out." And then before I know it, like I'm knee deep in this shit, like trying to figure out what a fucking coconut is so we can like to the next, or just like rage quitting altogether and then playing Halo for like 2 hours and then just trying to go back to the storyline. So
wow. I was actually just gonna say, what were some of the other sort of definitive games that sort of come to mind for you in that time period? Be it story driven where maybe a narrative spoke to you, or something like Halo where it was more of like a sentimental social memory for you.
Yeah, Halo for me was definitely like one of those. I would say Halo 1, maybe even 2.
LAN parties.
Yeah,
back in the day, the old days before before Xbox Live.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, cool. By 3, I was just like, all right, I'm straight. I think before then, like my early OG days were like I was Team Sega, and so like Streets of Rage was like everything to me. Street Fighter was always everything to me. My gosh! And then I got the PlayStation, and so like I became like the Bandicoot dude, and then I became the Spyro guy. Then all the Mortal Kombats, of course.
Of course.
And even though by the time
a lot of the Budokais as well.
Say it again.
The Budokais, the Dragon Ball Z games?
Yes. Oh my gosh, man. Budokai changed everything. It just like, it was like, like everything is different now,
Yo, seriously. It was like the first experience of like always watching on TV. And I remember like saving up because it was on PS2. And I was like, I'm going to get $50. I'm going to bring this home. And I just remember playing it being like, yo, I get to play with Goku and Gohan and Super Saiyan. It's funny. It's also interesting how much, like, as Reg was saying, anime and gaming sort of fold into hip hop as well. Do you see a reason for that? Do you think there's a reason that anime and gaming in particular, certain types speak to hip hop fans, or do you just think it's just a universal thing?
If I had to guess, I would say the legend of it. I think like the element of legend is just like synonymous with like hip hop and anime. Like, think about anime, you get your like protagonist, and then you get your main character, and it's like, all right, well, what's this person's plight? What are they up against? What are they going against? What are they trying to achieve? And are they going to get there? And that's hip hop. You know what I mean? Like,
do you think it's
what I mean? Everybody's
it's like an evolution of the Kung Fu that brought like the Wu-Tang era, right? And it sort of evolved into anime because they're not really making that level of Kung Fu types of movies anymore. In the 90s, you had sort of the Jackie Chan, Jet Li days, and then those sort of went out.
Yeah, and then also, hip hop is still rooted in consciousness. So like, when you think back to those days, like funny enough, I was just watching Into the Dragon yesterday. And
nice! I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, bro. Like I hadn't seen it since.
Where's that streaming right now?
Netflix.
Okay. All right.
Really?
Cool.
They're trying to cope with it,
Yeah.
But I was watching Into the Dragon not too long ago, and it's like the lessons that are taught intermediately, they apply to like what hip hop is all about. And I think like subconsciously, anime does that too. So we're all like hip hop artists are always trying to like learn lessons or understand things for themselves because they're trying to create something for themselves and they're trying to achieve something for themselves. And that's like the anime in life, period.
Yeah.
Every main character is trying to do something, overcome something, and it all like leads to self-realization of who they are.
The underdog story leads to realization. It makes a lot of sense. That's a great answer. That was awesome to hear.
Yeah, I got a question. I got a question actually. Do you use gaming as a release from making music, or do you use it as part of your creative process in making music?
Release for sure.
As
It's
a release?
yeah, it's really release. It's like, all right, man, like I need to like, detach.
Yeah.
It's also synonymous because detaching kind of allows me to take myself off of something and then get back to it. So maybe it's be there, but I would say off that.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And then actually sort of like now as a release process, sort of into your own music making process, maybe not with games, but with music itself, right? So if you're making a lot of music, you'll pause and you'll play some games to get out of it. For music, do you find yourself listening to artists or other artists more or less as you get further into your creative process?
I think more. Honestly. Yeah, I like to stay on top. I like to stay I like to know what's going on. Like I want, and I like to stay a fan because that's why I did music in the first place, was because I was such a fan of it. So I feel like if I lose the element of being a fan, I'm probably gonna lose my excitement for music. I also love the humility of like liking other people's shit.
Yeah, 100%.
The space of being like, yo, you're nice, but at any given point, and I like to broaden my horizons and make sure that I'm not just like sticking to what I know I like. Time is very elusive. So I try to put myself in a space to listen more and more than ever, for sure.
Are there any artists, say 2-3 that come to mind which I've read this answer in the past, someone's like, hey, who do you want to work with? And you're like, whoever crosses my path. If you had to say, if you had to call out 2-3 people and you're like, you I really want to work with, just based on being a fan even, right? To be part of their process, whatever it is, who'd come to mind for you?
Definitely Drake. 100%. I just really respect, his ear to make great music regardless, and to have the type of run that he has. I've never seen it before, so I would love to just be amongst that process. And then Chris Martin. I'm just a big Chris Martin fan. Like I love Coldplay to like my heart and soul. So like I would want to just be in that room and just see if there's something we could do, even if I could just help with lyrics. Like I could songwrite, whatever. Any way I could be of assistance, even if I could just get the water and just kind of be amongst it, that would be really tight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Chris Martin, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Or Drake if you listen.
Yeah.
Drake.
You know what I mean?
Drake's probably afloat of everything. He's probably got
Drake. Drake knows everything. Drake sees everything. Drake got people listening everywhere all the time. I've heard about this from multiple people.
So now we're moving some more. Some more further questions of wishes. If you could take, this is one of my personal favorite questions we do. If you could take one cartoon, book, animated series, etc., and have it adapted into a video game, which would it be?
Ed, Edd n Eddy. And I wanted to definitely be adapted into a video game.
That was quick.
Yeah, right. Answer. You thought about this.
Like Ed, Edd n Eddy in general, like, well, if they took the art of like what it was all about, which was like, yo, we're gonna get in here, we're gonna scam and get what we gotta get cracking.
So true.
The bigger, like the more successful you are, the bigger the stakes, the higher the scam. Yeah, I'd be on that forever. Like you create your own crew, like you have your own stock. You know what I mean? Like if your scam goes good, like you're booming in the neighborhood. If it's not, you're out of here. Like,
yeah, they need to make a scam simulator.
I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Like why all these other games? Like, well, I don't want to see Sims for this. Like, oh, you want to do train building sim? I'm like, I don't know. What about this?
Bars. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Trap sims.
Yeah.
And then I guess I'll want to talk about now. I guess favorite albums would be one of sort of circling around, because usually people ask who are the musicians that sort of inspired you, but I saw in yours you said Nas, Jay-Z, but you said Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah,
that was one that stood out to me. I love Lupe and I think he's very underrated. I think he's sort of overlooked as a sort of bridge between early 2000s rap and the sort of conscious rap that boomed with the Kendrick and J. Cole era. what of the albums? So if you had to go through a larger album palette, because you can't say, hey, only rap. No, not only rap. If you had to say, these are my 3-4 albums that sort of help define my direction creatively. It's not gonna, fully incorporate what you're about, but be like, these 3-4 can ping you in directions that sort of make up who Sylvan LaCue could be musically.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely gonna go with Kanye West's Late Registration. I always reference that album, bar none. Like when I'm cleaning my palette, I'm like, yo, let's put it on. It's just a perfect album to me, start to finish. It's just
Late is the best, one of my favorite Kanye songs.
Yes, of all time. Like
of all time.
Late Registration, sure. A recent album that's really like tugged my heart has been A Seat at the Table by Solange. Ooh. Oh no, sorry, not A Seat at the Table. When I Get Home. Yeah, the second. I just love how linear it is. I love how definitive it is of herself. It's just like, yo, I'm not here to explain anything. I'm just here to really express, and you catch on to what you want to catch on to. And it's really been like yo, I really love this album right now. Like this is really making its way into my top 10. It's ridiculous.
It's an inspirational mindset.
Yeah, I'm still baffled by how quickly it's made it, and I have a pretty rigid top 10 album. So
okay,
I'm just. It is what it is, but
I mean, and if you had to choose one non-R&B or rap album that would fall in there, which one would it be?
Probably Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication.
Interesting.
Just like, wow. Like, talk about, it wasn't like they ever fell off, you know what I mean? But it was just like, yo, what? Like, they had like, I think, solid 5-6 albums before that album. And that album became like such a staple. It was just like, breath of fresh air. Like now you have a whole nother 10 years. Red Hot Chili Peppers. And man, like I wish I was like 21 and like doing drugs around that. Real, like I'm just like
we were in high school because we're the same age, so I think about the same exact time period where I'm like, yo, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then I think about your music taste. I was like, you're definitely sneaking Blink 182 and some 41 cuts into your playlist.
Yeah, couple cuts, couple cuts here.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's that time period. If you got Californication on there, I'm like, I don't know. The occasional Fall Out Boy, you're like, windows up. I'm gonna put this up a little bit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The whole like Evanescence, like, you know what I'm saying?
That time period, right? Where
for sure.
Yeah.
B.O.B. doesn't get enough credit in that space either.
He does not. B.O.B. was just like, man, I get it, man. He's a music guy. So it's just like, I don't think people were ready for how musical he was. He's a music guy, man. And like, you don't find too many artists like that. He was really...
And your Young Sylvan had the elements of where you did the vocal range and where you sort of started playing with different cadence deliveries in more aggressive manners. And I thought that was a good fusion of something new and a more confident delivery, right? It felt like you found a voice on the last one because you sort of purged out those sort of fears of what you were doing and sort of like the Solange version, now you can sort of deliver what you want.
Yeah.
Now that you have, I say this is a part one, I figure you have more parts set up.
Yeah, definitely. I think we got a couple more parts. I think we got like 3 all together. And so like, it's all supposed to form into like one album, you know what I mean? But I want everybody like 4 listening experiences just to kind of, see different perspectives from each part,
Yeah.
For part 1, what is the sort of message you were trying to say? Like, what is the main idea you're giving to the listener, or is it sort of, hey, here's sort of what it is right now, and let me know what you find out about it?
It's kind of like the sampler. It's like if you're a drug dealer, like you're new on the block and you don't really have any weight, you go out there and you give out what you need, and you're like, yo, we got this new shit. Let me know what you think. Also the start of the story. So like, it's really kind of like the flagpole. Like, all right, guys, see where you at. You know what I mean? But it's definitely like it's very much like, yo, who's that guy? That's kind of the feeling I want to get across. And then, you know, the story will start to really unfold on like the second one. Like it'll be like way more poignant and like, oh, this is the meat and potatoes of what we're getting into. You know, the first one is like aggressive, fun, visceral, like intense. Second one gives you more context. Third one's gonna really like close it out. Like, wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that it's great to see you focusing on telling those sort of narratives, which I know even in music now, people like to release the sort of sample cuts to share what they're about, but they rarely put it within a narrative frame to understand an artist. And I think that's something that's far more artistic as a whole, rather than just saying, hey, I just rap. It's a large thing. So it's really cool. And I thought it was a great project.
Thank you, man. All my favorite artists, you know, they tell these beautiful, elaborate stories, and you know, I really gravitate to great storytelling, and I think it's fun. I just think it's fun to dive into a world. You press play, and you're like, oh, I'm somewhere else.
You know who's a great storyteller that people don't talk enough about? Fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Fab is somebody who I've always. I mean, Fab is like I think it's because of a New Yorker, but he's like always just been a top rapper to me. Like he's just like. He like embodies swag, basically. Like he's always sort of embodied swag. Like when I think of like just dripping in swag is Fab. And there are a lot of tracks where he's done some like great storytelling, and people don't give him credit for that.
I think Brooklyn in general is like, Brooklyn just has that bug. You know what I mean? Like Fab is a great storyteller. Biggie's a great storyteller. Jay's a great storyteller.
Of course.
They just kind of, there's something over there in that water that's like, just be descriptive. Fab is definitely like
you could say the same about Florida water though, and Florida musicians.
I was just gonna say it's making its way down.
Yo, oh my goodness, man, yeah. Florida,
there's a lot of talent there.
Florida's swimming, man. There's so much out here. I'm so proud of like everyone just expressing themselves unapologetically.
And I love the sounds that you guys are coming out with. It's so varied and different, and even you are so different from a lot of the main Florida guys, but it's just so diverse. Like I've been watching the Florida scene for a while, and it's just really doing amazing things.
Yeah, man, I love it. I think especially from like the melting pot of the Caribbean, so we're just influenced by so many different aspects. And I just love everybody's interpretation and expression. It's been really beautiful to see the past 10 years specifically.
Yeah.
And then now I guess we're going to sort of wrap this up. I know you got places to be, and so I don't want to be taking too much of your time. Moving forward, say 2021, what's that looking like for Sylvan LaCue? What do you got on board? What are you hoping for? Did the pandemic change any plans that you're got backlogged a year that you're trying to hope to get off now? What are you looking forward to?
Just looking to thrive, man. You know, more than anything, I'm just looking to thrive. That's probably like the best way I can encompass my ambitions is like, or like my intentions is just wanting to thrive as much as possible and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think you guys set up. It's got a great project to start off the new year.
Music is hitting, man. The music is hitting.
Very much so. Very much looking forward to you starting to get the credit you deserve. I know it's been a journey, but you know, as someone who stayed independent here as well, I very much salute you. And it, you know, we're gonna be here. We'll be fans. We'll be waiting for the next projects to drop as well.
Man, so I appreciate that a lot. I really do. I received that. Thank you, man.
Of course. Yeah, thanks again for coming on. And good luck. And we'll be back.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, peace, Sylvan. And what are your socials if you want to just drop them for everybody here?
Absolutely. So Twitter, Instagram, first and last name Sylvan LaCue, Sylvan. The last name LACUE. YouTube, same, all across the board, the same.
Nice.
I think I just got a TikTok account. I gotta, you know.
I don't get it. I don't get TikTok.
Yeah, you know.
I gave up before Snapchat, so we're dated.
Yeah. Nah, bro, I'm very hesitant. I'm very much like,
man, TikTok is a hit factory, man. A hit factory. TikTok is.
They always find a venue, man. Whether it's ringtones or you know what I mean, they're gonna
TikTok.
find a way.
TikTok is a hit factory.
Mhm.
And then the project will be streaming on everything.
Everything, 100%. Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, the whole thing.
Nice.
Wherever you listen to music, go listen to the project. Because 2021 Sylvan's here. So
yeah, man.
check out the radar. They'll be here for you.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Thank you for coming on, bro.
Of course,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
I mean, appreciate you guys for real.
All right, man. That was super dope. Thanks.